Larry's there. Oh, my page. Oh, my God. Sorry about the stacks, everybody. I was only responsible for half of it. Shelley was the other.
We only have Julia.
And Justin actually added to it here. So. Anyway, let's get started. Thank you for being here. So we had this meeting last week with Rick Kurz and Dave Reese to sort out how to do the STR law implementation, and they raised some really great points. So I kind of summarized all that in an email to you guys to let you know that we're going to revisit it. And the revisiting is pretty straightforward. We take what we already have, and we only tweak, looks like two things. One is it would not be a special use permit, it would just be a permit, quote unquote permit. And Andrew Meyer also felt like the grandfather clause in the beginning is not clear. So there's in section 1 under legislative intent. So there would be, he'll probably make a suggestion there. And he'll also change where it says special use permit to permit. So permit, of course, as we discussed, is not required as much. Not routinely required planning board review. It could be done by code enforcement, kind of like a camping permit. Fill out paperwork, and the bottom of the paperwork it says here's the information we have. Looks good, he can sign off on it, and the permit is issued. I've already talked to the STR owner about this, and you know, I think what it's going to be is the STR owners are not going to be are concerned. I think there'll be people who are concerned about, you know, they don't want the STR down their lane or whatever it is, and it does require us to rescind this law and then tee up on Thursday. We did this all on Thursday night. Tee up the revised law that requires us to send it to the county planning board for review. It requires us to set up another public hearing, which we will do in July. And then once we have that, those steps done, we would then put this new law into place in the July meeting.
That's what we need to get rid of that law then.
Yeah, you rescind it, unfortunately, because you have a couple of things in here that you can't just like pluck them out and say, we're changing this and that.
Right.
You have to do it through a formal process.
well,
And
yeah.
people have a right to say, they have another shot at public hearing to say, I don't like the change you're making, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the intent of that was the biggest question Andy said. What was the intent of the board? The intent of the board was, you meet these safety requirements, these basic New York State safety code, you should be able to have an STR, and then the other local laws that you may have to grapple with if you're not behaving, like noise ordinances or whatever, you deal with that, with those laws. You don't put it in the STR line. And so Andrew said, well, that's not a special use permit, that's a permit. All right, so now any questions on that? So we'll have several, I think it'll be 2 resolutions, and we'll get this back from Andrew. I've already asked him to provide it. The rescission, and then the teeing up of the new version. And those 2 will just set in motion us fixing this in our July meeting. All right, so any questions? Okay, thank you for the feedback on that as we went along last week. Budget, we just got the reports. I know sometimes these come in a little bit late. And I guess before I get into that, I set on your tables the financial statement. And it's got 2 letters with it, a management letter one, so these allied CPA guys do 2 letters each year. These are the same format, and we tweak the dates, and then this is the guts of our financial position. And this time I asked for everyone to get a copy, so you each can have a hard copy. And what I'd like to do is ask you to look through it for next time, because I think we want to have a really good understanding of the position that the town was in at the end of December of last year, and then launch into next year's budget discussions. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about how the budget's going this year so far. But that's the one that, you know, we get our financial ratings from this document. The state gets a copy. Obviously, they already have a form of this called the AFR. But this is why we pay our CPA, and that's a lot of information. You can have a lot of questions. We'll see if we can get Joanna, the next meeting as well, maybe we could probably get Joe Maples, who wrote the reports for us if you want. If you get a lot of detailed questions that you want answers for, if you send them to me ahead of time, I can fire them off to him and he can get the answers.
Maybe it's digital.
You can, yes. Good question. In fact, I can do that. I have a digital version. But I figure I should have remembered to do it.
Well, I like digital because I travel a lot, so that's when I have time to
Yeah,
research.
all right.
Can I get the large print copy?
All right,
Yeah.
that's where I draw the line.
Double space.
And I thought I just needed new glasses.
Did you hear anything on the, more money for chips this year?
Did I hear if we're gonna get more?
Yeah.
I have not heard. Have you
Because
heard?
supposedly, there's supposed to be more money coming down the tube.
You heard anything, Justin? From Chips?
Yeah, I can answer that question. Just a split second.
She's gotta be running out of money, isn't she?
She's got a diddle machine in her basement, just keep moving that thing around.
Ditto. Ditto, you're 100 years old.
Our chips
Remember the
allocation,
smell of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how they
Get
sound.
high with a little help from.
All right, hold on, he's trying to answer our question there. Yes,
our
sir.
chips allocation is gonna be $154,000, or $154,693.88. I believe it was 140-some thousand last
It was
year.
144. Yeah, it was 144 last year, and we programmed 144, so that's a nice $10,000 bump. All right, I'm not finding it at that.
Yeah, it's for it.
It's,
Thank you.
it's available. So budget year to date, if you saw it and you had a chance to look at it, there's a good summary there, looking pretty good. I think some of the updating of the numbers that you had asked about with water helped clarify that. Year to date, it's a good way to look at it, of course, and that can get a little confusing sometimes if revenue hasn't come in yet, but she cleaned that up. I guess the only thing that we're looking at is, we're down a little bit on revenue in the basic general wide, townwide fund, because we haven't received the mortgage tax, and we haven't received franchise and some other things. So if those come through like we expected, we'll be hopefully right on the money on revenues. And the expenses under A are pretty tight, they're pretty predictable, except for contingencies that we may, if we have to fix a roof or something, and then legal. And legal last year went really well. So. Any questions on year-to-date? Oh, and also, so Joanna's including in that email the supervisor's report, or the year-to-date report, how you want to look at it, revenue expense report. She's also including our night class, which is nice, and you can look at that. The night class is up to 17,000 and some change in dividends.
What did we budget?
Broken down, sorry?
What did we budget for income on that? Did we budget any income?
We did, because last year we didn't have it. And so this is another good question, whether we're tracking to meet what we had predicted or not. I provide that.
Yeah, last year was about 30,000, right?
I forget exactly.
It'll be less probably.
It's gonna be less based on interest rates, but it's a good question, is it tracking to what we estimated? I know we estimated low because we didn't wanna overestimate, but it'll be good to look at, yeah. So I've got a to-do list already started. It's gonna be like a personal to-do list. I'm just kidding. Income statement. I know. Budgeted. Okay. Anything else on budget? It's good. Yeah, it's tracking well, I felt, based on the report. The next one, I want to talk about the budget process for next year, obviously with things changing personnel-wise. I want to make it a more open process. I still have the responsibility to provide the budget to Shelley on the last day of September. She has the responsibility to give it to you by the 5th of October, we have the responsibility to get it finalized in preliminary, from tentative to preliminary in October, and then by November 20th, we have to have had a public hearing and a vote on the final budget, right? So that process will still take place, but between now, well, let's say next month, since you guys have had a chance to read the report, between next month and that September due date for me, I think we should make it a much more collaborative process, so everyone can understand the budget process better. Joanna, Shelley, we can invite to some of these meetings, Roger, whoever, there'd be Joanna, of course, and, people then can really drill down into these, so that there's no surprises about the budget when we get to the actual process. So, if you're okay with that, I'm not sure exactly how to do that, it could just be workshops that people can attend, and listen to our discussions, and that's fine too.
I was gonna say that, or, workshop out of the district. That's,
Just keep it at the workshop, so
just keep it right here.
But get a more detailed-
Yeah.
I'd like to do it in New York City. I hear that's where all the real bigwigs go. Board presidents,
And we'll go borrow 34,000 from the school.
3,400 each is all we need.
I was thinking at your place up on Shanagee, we could get to a couple.
There you go.
know.
Well, these guys.
Sit around
do
the
it,
campfire.
you know. We're pretty high class. These guys and Hurricane, you not so much.
I can't attest to that. All right, well, let me draft with the deputy supervisor plan. And then maybe it's as simple as the workshops, I think it might not be, but there might have to be some smaller meetings, we'll see. Okay. So, next stack, somewhere in your stack there is the camper stuff, so when Rick and Dave and I met the other day, we talked at length about campers. And so you should have two things for campers. One is the camper permit application, Cheryl knows well. And then the document that is now 10 pages, 5 double-sided, that has our local law excerpts, as well as Carleton, Kendall, and Somerset. But we can start with the application. Basically, what you see on the application at the bottom is the basics of what our local law requires. So take a second to look at that with me. The permit, of course, is going to go to the code enforcement officer, and it's supposed to only be for 30 days. There's no fee for the permit. It has to be land that is conforms with local law for having a dwelling on it. Yeah, and it talks about are to be placed on the side or rear of improved properties, if you have that, if that applies. Setbacks, I think E is a very important one. E is one that we're gonna have to look at closely, which is the sanitation facilities, sanitation system. F also was a discussion with Rick and Dave about whether it has a valid registration, making it highway ready.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
nice.
think about that, yeah. So those are some of the things we're gonna grapple with. Now, in reviewing these other local laws, with Rick and with Dave, and this is something that's gonna be a homework assignment, because we don't have to decide anything tonight, but we should certainly think about it. We came up with 3 things to consider. 2 that would loosen the law, and 1 that would tighten the law. The 2 things that would loosen the law are, we shouldn't have a 30-day restriction, it should just basically be a seasonal permit. So we can either define the season or just say 180 days. But it's 180 days roughly. Let's say May to October, we can cast that a certain way. He said there's no sense in a 30-day permit because very few people do the permit in the first place. And when they do, why would the requirement come back? If they're meeting all the requirements, this is a seasonal thing. And it shouldn't be something that should require them to fill out the permit. So that was one suggestion that Rick and Dave and I agree on, but obviously we have to talk about. So one is to extend it from 30 days to 180 days and or seasonal permit. The second thing is the Carleton law, I think I mentioned to you, Harold, that they have you can go even for like through a year, but that's only if you're building a house. Well, we don't have that in our law. So Dave and Rick both think that should be in there, that's a good clause. If we say, if you're building your house, you can then have a camper for a year on your property next to where you're building your house.
$100, because I did it over at the house in 279.
Oh,
I put a camper in there and I had to pay $100.
it was a permit fee?
Yeah, for $100
per year.
for a year, yeah.
And that's reasonable, we don't have that accommodation in our law.
I just had to put it on the camper, had the RV over there and parked it, and
Yeah, okay, well, that's, I think we should have that in our law.
Bing was in there, was living in there and working on the house.
Yeah,
So, for example, you say no, the 180
180
days sounds good to me, but then, I believe it's G, a permit is not required for an unoccupied camping unit stored on an improved property. So, if someone came for 6 months and stayed in their camper, and they left for the next 6 months, they wouldn't need it'd be okay just to leave it there, right? And they wouldn't need the permit for over the winter. And then when they came back in the summer, they could get a permit again and be there.
I
for the
think
summer.
technically you're right, but that begs the question about F.
It is that, isn't it?
No, that's G. F is an issue which actually Dave and Rick aren't keen on going after, which is that the camper has to be roadworthy and
That's my
have a
next
valid
question.
registration.
I don't like that because some people live in their camper, and I mean, a lot of places have spots where you can put a larger camper that you're not just gonna hook up and drive around because they're so big. You leave them there. And then some people live in their, what defines a camper versus a trailer home? I feel like if people can afford
It defines it
a
on there.
camper, if they can afford a larger or a smaller trailer home, and we see it as a camper, some people have to live like that, and I think we're penalizing people based on their income or ability to have a, you know what I mean, if they're going to the bathroom in a place that goes properly cared for, I feel like we should leave them alone.
One more thing, Susan, if I may.
Yeah.
So single wides are not allowed in the town. So there are no
Yeah.
single wide, yeah.
You
Okay,
can
so that would
grandfather.
be considered.
Grandfathers.
And that's been for quite a while.
Yeah.
A minimum is 900
So
square
the
feet.
low-
If there's one that's there now, it's grandfathered, but if they ever take it
Yeah,
out,
it
they
can be
have to put
grandfathered.
it
There's
up.
one on Yates, okay, okay,
There's several.
yeah.
So it's a great point. In fact, Dave Reese made that point in our meeting. He said, look, I'm not here to tell people how to live. Like
Yeah.
if someone, you know, you could even see someone saying, I'm gonna buy this acre, I'm gonna throw a tent up. Where we do have a say is if there's sanitation issues, right? That's something that the county weighs in on, not us. The county comes in, and then the county public health will they'll cut septic lines that go from toilets down into septic systems that haven't been approved. They'll literally, if they find them, they'll cut them right there on the spot. So they have a responsibility, and so do we, to think about sanitation. That's why that one's gonna be an issue. But the reason I say that, your point is begging the question, which is, most of the ones that he's got pictures of, that he knows that are out there, they're not roadworthy. They haven't moved in years. They're probably where people are living, but they're not, definitely winter weather capable. So many of them are just living there during the summer months, you know, and all that. So that's where they're not sure they want to mess with that, right? Because if we say, and someone tell me if I'm wrong, it goes back a ways, but evidently there was code enforcement years back, 3 or 4 code enforcements ago, where they went after these types of things, and it was an epic fail. Do you remember this? You're nodding your head. It was all near impossible. So we don't, Dave and Rick aren't keen on that, but they also want safety and basic sanitation. Do you know how it went?
Yeah, by the time they did it, the people would move out for a day or so and move right back in.
That's the other thing, like you're saying, because, well, if I move it,
I found a house on Amazon for $19,000 that folds open. I'm like, that's perfect for me for my retirement. But how am I gonna do this? It
It's
doesn't
gotta
have
be-
wheels. If I get a septic, you know.
it's gotta be
If
19.
you look at those, you gotta see how well they're insulated.
Yeah, I will. I'm looking. I'll
Is
call
it
you first.
winterized, and is
Yeah.
it 900 square feet?
But I'm like, what a great idea. It's like
And you'll have to build a foundation.
it's a storage unit that you
If I
can
remember the
flip
basic
out.
code.
That would work for me. I don't need much room.
I don't know, because you can actually, you can put a double wide up on pads and gravel.
True, it could be on cement blocks.
Yeah. You don't have to put them on.
You can still
with
do,
a slab down.
you still can do cinder blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways,
With the bills of hay underneath it.
right, that's the, one end of this is, people should be able to live and get by the way they need to live and get by, and Dave was all about that, he says, but you're begging the question, you're tempting fate on safety and sanitation issues. So he said, here's an example, you know, you go see a camper that's getting a camper status, and maybe it's lived in only during the summer months. It's got a porch that's fixed to the camper, and it moved in years. It's got some type of sanitation system. You know, some of them, he said, that there's evidence that they have tanks, and that they have to obviously empty their tanks, they have to figure that out. That's where that line in there says sanitation systems, or self-contained systems. So we could require that still. But if they've built a septic without county health approval,
That's not.
that's a foul. That's a big foul,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So,
Yeah, you just went through it with your house.
oh yeah, I have to go, you had to do a perk test. The perk test is like you hold your breath. It's gonna be either
Yeah.
$8,000 or $20,000.
Do the Amish have outhouses still?
What's that?
Do the Amish still have outhouses?
No.
They don't?
No.
I used to have one on the golf course out at the 6th hole.
Yeah,
Kinda,
that was
just
because
no walls
of people
around it.
drinking too many pops, but,
I'll admit it.
Susan, that's the quote of the day right there. It's about the 6th hole, you're right. Anyways, go ahead.
So I was just wondering, you know, are outhouses illegal now?
Yeah, they are.
yeah,
But people get by, yeah. And we're not in such a remote location that we can justify, you know, having laws that abide that. We have, you can't go that very far before all of a sudden you're affecting neighbors if you're using a little hole in the ground somewhere. And yeah,
my cousins got nailed down in Pennsylvania for their hunting camp. While they were building it, they just put a little outhouse up. And someone blew them in. It cost maybe about $3,000-4,000 in fines.
that's just the fines, and then of course if they want to keep
Then they had to
building.
put a Johnny on the spot up there.
Yeah. That is an option too. We had the fire on Murdoch. There was a single wide that burned down, and he got a camper permit, and he also got an outhouse, because he didn't want to have to deal with, you know, just paying the outhouse to be picked up every once in a while, as opposed to dealing with a camper. So people can do that. That's passable.
That's what you do with your gray water though. You know, shower, that's.
So, sanitation, safety, that's still, that's something we probably need to visit. And we can look at the other laws between now and next month. I think the other two things, it looks like everyone's in favor of loosening the law, give it a seasonal permit, and also accommodations for a 1-year permit if you're building a house. And then we'll grapple with, you know, the safety kind of question. All right?
And putting the registration on it, that's gonna be questionable, right?
Right, well, it's really, it's another issue that, you know, do we want, whose job is it to enforce whether New York State has issued a license to a camper?
Right.
Is it the town? No. So,
You know, like Green Harbor, I mean, you drive through there, I bet you half the campers down there don't have plates on them. They've been there for so long,
yeah,
you know.
When they had flood in 17 and 19, the frickin' sewer and everything went right in the lake.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, campgrounds, there, we have language in there for campgrounds, I think that can be treated differently. You can put more restrictions on campgrounds, and we could look at that part of the law, but, yeah, this is more just that individual camper, or someone who's got property, and there's several people like this that have several campers. And again, I'm thinking more of the ones that are there year round, not the ones that are getting permitted and temporarily using it. All right, so we chewed on that one pretty good. Any questions before we move on? We can definitely work on that for next time. All right. Ambulance, who was I talking to? Harold the other day. I had just seen the Hub article, maybe you all saw it too, the state's AIM funding, and there's another term there, these are the two, was increased. You know, like, oh, wow, wonder what we're getting. And now, you know, Tom Rivers, to his credit, already had the numbers for each of us, and Yates went up a little bit, right? But take a look at that article, if I can find it out.
Was it a ratio?
It's,
Because if it was a ratio, everything should be a ratio.
it's hard to say when it's a ratio. I don't know, it's one of those things that's a legacy item. the city, if you're a city, even though there's cities like Salamanca of 4,000 people, smaller than Medina, which is a village of 6,000 people, or whatever, Salamanca, because it's a city, gets like 3 times as much AIM funding than Medina. So there's a real broken system.
Let's
But the
change
reason I'm bringing it
Make a
up on
motion to
this,
make this a city?
Medina is trying it. Medina is actually trying it. Well, and the reason I bring it up on our ambulance contract is I was talking to her, I said, take that Hub article and send it to all those people in Medina that want us to pay the same as Ridgeway and Shelby. Ridgeway's getting like 50,000 and Shelby's getting, I don't know, 40,000, we're getting 12,000.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
just another example of, you
Yeah,
can't treat us the same and charge us the same for the ambulance contract.
right.
Well, I'll just do it, and
Yeah.
I'll copy you guys.
Well, they gotta know the figures, wouldn't you think?
Oh, I'm sure they saw that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get that money.
They don't care about us. I'm just saying.
Well, it goes back to
They're
the,
worried about their voters.
yep.
That's what you gotta remember.
And when you're in a room with Shelby and Ridgeway supervisors, which the last few meetings have been that way, it's tricky for them because they're representing people outside the village as well as inside the village. So
I talked to a few.
it's, I sympathize with them a little bit about that.
Yeah,
We don't have that problem. We have obviously the village of Lyndnvile, but they've already given us
right.
the contract, if you will, to negotiate it.
Shelby and Ridgeway pretty much splits
Nelson and Florida,
Medina, right?
pretty much.
Shelby is half of it and Ridgeway is the other half.
I think Ridgeway has a little bit more of the population.
Railroad tracks divides it. Which is kind of funny.
Did you make any headway with Barker, or is,
No, we haven't got there.
No, I went to the fireman's meeting again last month, and there's still no movement there. They just said the state puts too many regulations on them. And they don't want to mess with it. They have trouble getting their members as it is, so. But they didn't throw me out.
Yeah.
well, and I've
You didn't
tried,
ask the wrong questions.
No.
I've tried about 3 times now to get a hold of the person who would negotiate the RFP from Mercy Flight, and I haven't gotten a call back, so that's not, I think they, now that they know we're specifically asked, they don't wanna talk to us, I don't know. We'll see. Let me try, I'll send that help article to the mayor and to everybody and say, hey, this is just another example of the imbalance, please treat us accordingly, and maybe we'll be surprised and they'll come our way when we give it the contract.
Didn't you say you talked to, the county was talking about doing something?
The EMS,
Yeah, nothing has come down from the EMS.
It's always talk. It's always talk. It's
They
like,
did a-
talk,
they did a-
talk, talk. Nobody does them.
They did a large study that.
They should do that on Fish Friday. Oh, we're thinking of making fish tonight, but we're gonna talk for a while, and at midnight we'll say, oh, we decided not to make fish, right? Isn't that about how stupid it is?
Yeah, it's been. Well,
Just
I
do
don't,
it.
I don't blame them. The county, would not be in a position to take over this
No.
operation.
They should be though, with that sales tax revenue.
Yeah.
It might be the way it has to go, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Much more tax are they getting for the gas right now?
Insane sales tax revenue,
Yeah.
and they're not split.
and I don't know, I think we need to sit down with somebody that can tell us what dollar amount we're actually looking at. To go in with Barker or even start our own.
Yeah.
I mean, we're clueless, except for the manpower, and we have no idea how much the expense is gonna be, except for going with the
Well,
that's the only hard factor we got.
When I talked to Barker probably 5 years ago, they just bought a new ambulance, but they still couldn't man it. They had 3 of them. The old one they were getting rid of, they bought a new one, and it was 300,000, I think, or 200 and something, fully loaded, and I don't even know what they're doing with them. I'd like to go over and see.
Was it a take 3 van front end or truck?
It was van. No, it was, gosh, 3-4 years ago, so. It was
You
truck
have to
van.
have a box on it,
I
right?
had a box on it, yeah, it wasn't a van, it was but, they had a brand new one, and then the other one was like 10 years old, and the other one was 13 years old. I was thinking about trying to get their 13-year-old one back then, but that's why I'm not in the Lyndnville Fire Company right now. They want big trucks for a lot of money that don't get used. They can hate me all they want, but
No,
truth be told,
like I said, they don't want any part of it.
90 to 95% of your calls are EMS. Why have you got $750,000 pumper truck?
It's at least 2 ambulances.
Yeah.
All right.
Fully equipped.
Well, I'll keep trying Mercy Flight. If you guys get a chance to hook up with Barker.
You know, buying used ain't bad either, because they take really good care of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The private outfits, I mean, when I was back in the 80s, I sold them for a while, for a couple of years. And we'd take in trade-ins, and you wonder why they were getting rid of them.
What the fire companies sell their used pumper for? They sold to South Carolina somewhere for like $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
And that fire company was gonna use it. Wonder if they can get parts. I'll probably buy the second one, because, you know, that's why I buy 5 Escalades, because you always have parts.
All right, moving on, summer youth rec. You wanna update that?
Yep, we have, they've done a walkthrough of both churches. They've organized how the plan's gonna roll out with the kids. They're seeing that it's, very, very doable. Both churches are super excited and very cooperative. We're really excited to have the kids there. So we will have the summer rec program, and then the summer school will kind of combine with it, because they use the summer rec as a kind of a reward for the kids to get through the summer school, and they get to do things with summer rec. So it's a partnership between the school and the town of Yates in that way. And looks like it's on board to start right after the 4th there, that Monday after the 4th. And the school's real pleased with how the churches have just stepped up and said, welcome, come on in.
Awesome. So it starts at the 6th, because I was just talking to Shelley about.
I believe it does, yes.
Yeah, our July meeting, normally it's that weekend, right after the 4th. We were talking about whether we should try to move the workshop or not, or the board meeting, because that month in July, board meeting would normally be the 9th, which means the workshop would be the 6th. Now, the 4th of July, when it falls on the weekend, the holiday, the national holiday is the Friday. So I think we could kind of keep our meetings the way they are, or if you want to move.
Is it a Saturday?
It's a Saturday is the
Yeah.
4th, but the Friday would be the
Oh.
holiday. Yeah,
The day off.
yeah. So the 6th, is everybody okay keeping the workshop that day? This would also apply to the public hearing for the STR law. It's also the same day as summer youth kicks off. So if everyone's okay, we'll just keep it there. All right. And it's Monday through Thursday, like
Yes, Monday
8
through
to.
Thursday,
Yeah,
and they will have breakfast and lunch. It'll just be a little bit different fashion, more of a bag of each, but
yeah, because I know they were worried about keeping things cold and whether they had
Right.
refrigeration for everything. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you for doing that, Susan.
I think it's good to see Lisa Smith and Carly Sturdivant, along with the superintendent, Heather Lyons. So we got I basically sat back and handed off, and they went forward with it.
Good.
So
I put this next one in there because I talked to you about Eric's request to use the 4th of July as a backup for, can you explain that in case the board has any questions, or do you know exactly what the mind of Eric Johnson is thinking?
I don't, but I can try. I'll try to interpret it.
That's good, that's good, way to put it.
Okay, so,
Hold on.
should for some reason we be unable to use the school grounds for the 4th of July, we would like to keep, the 4th of July is still gonna happen. And we would like permission to be able to use the back parking lot, if possible, and, we would use it for vendors and the band and the music. So, that would be one avenue.
Is
We
that
have-
because of the construction at the school that you're concerned about, or?
Partially, but more so if the budget fails, they're saying that contingency, if we have to go to the contingency budget, they're saying that we would.
They're lying, but go ahead.
Correct. We don't know, the law doesn't say this that I could find, but they could, the board decides what happens. They can decide not to host it there, or according to law, you can still host things and then you charge a fee for whatever costs there are. So we would be using the cafeteria only for this year because of the construction. If the board decides to allow us to use it, we could potentially pay a fee. If they decide not to use it, we just had, trying to have a backup plan.
Okay.
So, and it's, if the budget passes, then we would probably still stay at the school if they allow it. If they don't allow it, we still wanna have a backup plan. If it goes to we just don't know what's gonna happen, so we're trying to have a plan A and plan B. So,
And the plan B is fine with me, I don't see a problem with it, but where would like the fireworks, would they still be, would thousands of people still sit at the baseball diamond or whatever?
yeah, the school
I
grounds
mean,
are.
there's all sorts of questions that this
The
raises.
school grounds are public, so,
Oh, okay.
they can sit anywhere they like. We can't stop people, and I don't believe the school board can stop people from walking on the school grounds even though everything's closed out. So, we have a couple of potential options for fireworks. That is not been finalized yet, so once it is, we will come to the board if any of those options include town property. And, I know that Eric's working with the village on a couple of things as well, but I don't have enough information, and they're not far enough along for me to be able to verify that publicly. So we're gonna have the 4th of July, we're gonna celebrate America 250, just like there's no problem, and just like true Americans, where there's a will, there's a way, we're gonna make it happen.
Make it work,
So,
good. And the flag request is fine with us in terms of draping the flag with the fire
okay,
truck?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, street dance, again, Susan.
What did I do with street dance?
Well, I got the grant, that was $500, and you had asked for 2,000.
Right,
I don't know if 500 is enough to get us decent fireworks.
Eric Johnson is actually working on, trying to find some more funding for that, to have a short 10-minute fireworks
Okay.
show. He has a couple other things in his hat,
Okay.
and then, the rest of it is pretty well settled, so,
Yeah,
we're on target for that as well.
thank you.
And they probably just put them out here, right?
It could, yeah, it will be a smaller
Smaller.
thing, if we have it, and then, yes, so.
I don't know, I'm trying to think if you got a certain amount of distance between things.
We'll find out, but
I used to be
between buildings in the,
buildings, crowd, you have to be so far away,
yeah.
so if we
Our
have,
crowds usually, we'll have to figure out the logistics of it, but if you can find that out, that'd be great. And I believe they're gonna try to have, the Lions Club is gonna try to have a chicken barbecue or pork dinner so that we can sell ahead and bring some people in,
Good.
so.
Well, and we have to, because we got the grant, you may have seen this, we have to put New York 250 on everything.
Okay.
So maybe we should send them a newsletter. We didn't send one out this year, we could send one out, maybe to highlight the 4th of July, the street dance.
I will no longer be working as of July 2nd. I will be free to be at your service,
Is
so.
that official as of today?
It's not official, but it's official in my mind. So
Okay.
I drop my papers off in the next couple of days, but so anything like that, I'm your.
Congratulations.
I'm your,
Well, maybe,
whipping boy.
Yep, I'll
well,
be with them.
you know what, maybe we could do a quick, I could probably get a good draft of the newsletter out in a week or so, and everyone could take a look at it, and we can highlight some of this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I bet I will.
and it's about $1,000 and mail it or something.
I'll have to I'll do it, you know.
So,
It would probably take me a couple weeks for the supplies, envelopes especially.
okay, all right, so.
Or we could highlight it on our website and, yeah. But not everybody is, that's the same problem school boards have, not everybody is, you know, we've got.
When is the school board vote?
generation.
I'm sorry, I just.
16th, June 16th, there's a meeting tomorrow night to present the budget, the old
Same
budget.
exact one.
Yeah, they didn't change it at all, right?
No.
All right, subject. All
Okay,
right, next one, assessor retirement, so everyone saw that Tricia's submitted her retirement letter for October, which is very gracious of her to give us this time, she's done an amazing job. How many years? You have to ask her, 25?
11, of us here,
Well, total, as an assessor.
26.
26 years. She is good at what she does, so is Shelley. She was assessor, and it's gonna be really big shoes to
you
fill.
do that job too.
Yeah, the ones.
Yeah, you know, it could be a retirement job. Get you in training.
Enough people that, you know.
Get you in training in
It's that
August.
personality though, so.
August, September,
What,
and
before
October,
you
you
got
can
it
get 3 months of
personality?
training under your belt before you have to take. So yeah, we will start looking with everyone's concurrence or permission or, thoughts. I think the first thing to do is look at who's doing part-time assessments. There's several that I've heard of. I need to run that to ground and see if there's a part-timer, let's just say, that can do, 2 part-times, one for us, one for someone else, make them whole.
Steve Reese will do it. He'll go with
You
that.
can't do both.
Hey,
That's not enforcement.
he's not having them both.
Here's the other
Then
thing.
you can turn it into a part-time.
It would be ideal to get someone who is a part-time, let's say, that we could share from one of the lakeside towns, Kendall, Carlton, even Somerset. Because we are unique. We could look south towards Julie and what she's doing in Ridgeway and Shelby, but I think when we split that away, it was for good reason. It was, what do you think? It's just too much.
I don't think she could do 3 towns,
Yeah.
it is too much.
Yeah. And you're right, we're special, we're not special, it's a different,
Carol does.
yeah, we're with the lakefront,
Well, I will start inquiring who has what.
Be a good job for you, Mr. Simon.
No, I'm moving from semi-retirement to, I don't know, I haven't figured out the term yet. Yeah.
Vegetable.
That's great.
He is rolling tonight. I
I
don't,
haven't even,
Better
I
be
don't
your
hope
fruit,
to
I
be,
guess.
I don't hope to be referred to that way. Could happen, God's in charge, but, Part-time assistant. My to-do list is getting long here. ZBA, so Jim Taylor passed away, good man. So
So he's
that's
not gonna work anymore.
one less person on the ZBA. And also,
I
Pat
thought of
O'Brien.
dying to get out of jobs before too.
Stop. Pat O'Brien has also talked about not continuing, which would bring us down to 3 members. And I think with the ZBA in particular, we need to at least have one person that would replace Jim Taylor, and then decide from there, both with the planning board and the ZBA, how it looks going forward. So I guess I would just ask everyone to think about that. ZBA would require, obviously, some people that have some experience with building codes and things like that.
You can't be on both of them, right? Planning board and the
You should
ZBA.
not. Some towns do that. There is some accommodation in municipal law to do that, but it's
Yeah,
frowned
small
upon.
enough.
Yeah, it's frowned upon
Well,
for
you
good
know,
reason.
in the planning board, you were having trouble getting people for that too, weren't you?
Yes, but we've had some luck getting people to, fill some seats. Gary Dahm moved over from ZBA to be a permanent member on the planning board to fill Mark Hughes' seat. And Bob DeMalley chose to join up on the ZBA. That was before Jim Taylor passed. So now Jim Taylor gives us at least one hole, and like I said, Pat O'Brien also wants to move on. So I guess what I would do is just solicit ideas. If you have any, you don't have to tell me right now. If you want to shoot me an email, this isn't rocket science. It's something, though, that we would want to give someone a chance to get to their first meeting or two, get training in particular. There's training periodically offered by the county, or by adjoining counties, or even by the State Association of Towns, that you would want this person to get to before they actually started ruling on cases, because
Paul?
there's a lot to it.
That could be a good job for you, assessor and ZBA. I think it's your calling. I can feel it.
I got kicked off the ZBA about 20 years ago because I wouldn't go along with their laws they wanted to do. So,
All right, so enough saying that. Tarn Park, next steps. What I thought about there is there are a few things that we need to think about. One is there have been requests over time, that we have that back area where there could be a kitchen made into a kitchen. And that would obviously require funding. Maybe we get a grant. This isn't something we're going to rush out for, but if we were to get a grant, we could upgrade that. Water park, a small water park, if you've been to the one that's across from the pickle factory in Medina. It's very simple, and something like that would not be too expensive. There's talk about that. And periodically, we have to do things like, and Shelley's looking into this, we can maybe segue over to this, pressure washing the pavilion, pressure washing this building. You had gotten some estimates. You want to talk about that?
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
I contacted 4 businesses and only 2 got back to me. One, and I asked for a quote just to do the trim. The brick is not bad around the building. It's just all of the windows, especially the porch on the front, the back door, and all of the, I'm not sure what you call those, soffits at the top are really bad. The spiders, I think it's spiders that have messed it up, but it looks really bad from the road. The cheapest one was with Steady Kenny Services, and that was for $891 to do all of the white trim. He said he wouldn't need a lift. And then Matthew Natali provided a quote, and it was $750 to do the lower section. He would need a lift to do the up top, and that would be with the lift $1,000 to $1,200.
I just got my 1998 power washer started today. If anyone wants to just tell us do it, but it'd be a lot cheaper. It takes the gas. It's really strong.
And I contacted
I
Spider-Man,
my foot.
who does our house for us, and he said that he would do the park pavilions, but he would not do the town hall because it's on Main Street, and he couldn't ensure that there wouldn't be people around. So he said that he was not interested in doing the town hall.
So we did ask Roger if he thought we could do the pavilions, if he thought it would be good, especially the spider.
He wants both power washed and
Spider.
spider.
The spider guy is great. I didn't have those little bugs. There's usually hundreds of them that get in somehow.
He's really
I hardly
good.
had any last year after he pulled
Yeah, I
in.
was gonna
He's
say,
very
would
reasonable.
would they
Stinky bugs?
spray something like home defense on the building?
Yeah, he wears a outfit. He's totally covered. He'll shut all the windows, and he just went to work. And I had hardly any, because I usually get a ton of them out there in the country. It was great. I don't mind the spiders, those stink bugs. They cover the one end of my house if it's warm, and it gets, I didn't have any.
Clothes, they don't have to put clothes.
I don't know if it causes cancer, but I did not
Well,
have any bugs.
we don't, none of those prices require
They
resolution.
were, he was
So
great.
Two of the best.
do the best bids.
You're next to water, you're not gonna get rid of
I'll
spiders.
check with
You go out
Roger
and
about the pavilion too, as long as they.
Yeah, they could do.
She
She uses
He,
something.
I
They're gonna have
asked
some
him
stuff
for the
that-
quote for the pavilion,
Cut some
Friday,
back.
he hasn't gotten back to me yet, but he said that he.
Let me know.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So anyways, those types of things, and then the path, I think, on the walking path at the park should probably be looked at, attended to and re-gravelled, or whatever you wanna call that. So there's some things like that that will be next steps. And I listed the same thing for back here. I think that we could do several things. The least costly would be just to move some of the stone. We ended up with large extra stones when we had the park built that we could bring down here and remove this guardrail and make it more scenic with the stones, and people could sit on the stones and have a bite to eat. It could be just that simple. Or we could do something more elaborate, that, to make it a kind of a little bit of a mini destination, to have something where people can sit. So I think those were two things that I thought probably we could look at and consider. Any thoughts on that?
We got the stones already?
Yeah, we have probably 20. Justin might know off the top of his head. There's probably 20.
There's quite a few.
They're tucked away behind where the horse things are.
Park.
Would the payloader pick them up, or are they too heavy?
One,
Yeah, we'd have to think about moving.
can only put one on the trailer at a time.
Yeah, make it heavy. So those are thoughts, and if you have other thoughts, let me know. Speaking of Justin, he did come, Roger sent me a text saying that they're having ongoing meetings with the county and the other highway superintendents from the towns about the contracts for snow removal and some of those things that get negotiated, and who's doing what, and who's reimbursing whom for how much. So that was his input, but then you have something you could go over with us, Justin, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
It's pretty cut and dry. One thing I do want to speak to though is under highway for equipment repairs are continuous. So the newest dump truck that we got had a transmission leak earlier in the month, and I crawled underneath and I just took a brief look at it because it's the newest truck and it's still under warranty. So I didn't take a super hard look at it. I called up to Mac, said, "Hey, transmission's leaking. This is going to be covered under warranty." "Well, we can't tell you until we look at it ourselves."
Yeah.
Okay, understandable. So I take it up there, and they quoted us $3,000 for the PTO leaking, and $2,700 of that was labor to remove the PTO, place the gasket, put the bolt back in. So I already had an inclination that it wasn't the PTO leaking to begin with, and then with a $2,700 labor bill, I was like, no, we'll come get it. I'll do what I can. If I can't get it, then I'll just bring it back up, and it is what it is.
Like the bolt.
Is it a
So-
seal or a gasket?
So crawled back under there and took a harder look, and I have it right on the quote, so we're still going back and forth with Mac over the diagnosis chart, but I thought the dipstick tube was leaking. So I crawl under there, that's what was leaking. $7.33 part. Hour or two of my time to change it. So I mean, there's a $2,700 bill that we saved, and I'm not trying to just toot my own horn because a lot of our newest guy helped me work on it, and Raj is real lenient on pretty much if I think I can do it, he doesn't try to stop me or say, oh, well, let's just let them do it. And that's just one instance. Over the course of the year, there's a lot of our job inherently is to spend money, roads, plowing, all that. But this is the one spot where we save money, and if I add it up for the year, there's a lot of savings that happens by the maintenance that we do in shop. So, that was one of the big ticket items there, that $2,700 savings. So,
Thank you for doing that.
Charging for the gas to drive it up there and back?
yeah.
But wouldn't that still be covered under warranty? That's not a wear part.
So the explanation I got is because that's an Allison automatic transmission. It's not a mag transmission, so it would have to go through Penn Detroit, which we didn't get the truck from Penn Detroit, so it would have been a whole monkey around. Then the truck's tied up for how long we're paving, doing this, doing that. So for $7.33.
Oh, no,
You know.
I was talking about the seal that the OK was talking about.
Yeah, so the PTO is in fact seeping, but it's not leak. It wasn't putting the 2 to 3 quarts on the floor that dipstick tube was leaking. Yeah,
right.
that's a whole. Even if they had fixed that, the issue that I took it up there for would have still been an issue nonetheless.
Right.
So that is something that we're going to have to fix, but it's not urgent. We're still running the truck as it is. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, other than that, under highway, that last point there, West Yates Center Road. So because 18 is shut down between Murdoch and County Line, and the county highway was paving Lakeshore from County Line to Marshall, all the manure trucks hauling manure out of Chaffee's have been beating down West Yates Center. And well, if you go down there, you'll see where I put the barrels.
Saw it, yeah.
That's pretty rough. Honestly, there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than build the road up better. You can't keep them off of it. They're farmers going to farm fields. You can't post a weight limit on a. Well, you can post it on a town road, but they don't have to abide by it because you have to let them get to their field. So we talked to Dudley Chaffee and asked them to take a different route, come down Millers to Marshall because Marshall's in better shape than West Yates Center. Millers is a county road, so they can beat that up all they want for all we're concerned. But if it wasn't for 18 being shut down, it wouldn't be as bad because they can ride down the center of the road. But you can watch 100 cars go by in an hour down there right now, where normally in an hour you could lay in the middle of the road and nobody would come by.
No.
So it's, they have to get over, and the edge of the road is just, the material's not there to hold. I mean, those guys are all hauling well over 100,000 pounds at a time.
They're not doing the normal detour. They're taking Yates Center.
Yeah, and normally where they're going on Marshall, they would go down Lakeshore to Marshall, which Lakeshore is a county road, so it wouldn't be much of a concern. But so that's some road work we're going to have to do that we weren't planning on this year.
Right.
But. And then as far as water goes, we've actually been pretty busy with water. We just did the new service for that Bain Lane home this morning. And as you can see, second to last point, 35 UDIT tickets. So that eats up a lot of time, a lot of our time for water. Is anybody that's doing any excavation calls in, ticket gets sent to us and we have to go and mark our water mains, service lines, valves, the whole nine, just to protect our own utilities. So that can get very,
35 since when, like this year?
that'd be since our previous meeting.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, that's
they
fine.
do one a day. I mean, if it's one that's not clear cut and dry, where you got to go out and it's in a weird spot where there's a 45-degree bend in the water main and you got to pace it, and it can take some time to mark it correctly. So, and we're using paper maps, so
Yes.
it's a lengthy process.
Do you happen to know what they're doing on, down by Shaddy? They got the flags in the ground?
The gentleman on the corner of Lakeshore and North Lyndnvile is installing a fence. That's what the ticket was for.
You want Mac's old place? Or not Mac? The farm there in the corner.
Yeah, it used to be, well, Manx used to live there, but before that it was Moses. Right? The dentist dude lived there?
Fred Mac lived there.
Yeah. No, the guy lives there now, his father's a plumber and he's working for his father.
It's probably putting a fence up.
They bought it from
Around the
the
campers down there.
professor who was on the no-fly list.
Well, other than that, we're gonna try and get the mowing done again before the 4th of July. Get the town cleaned up. We got some other shut-off valves for the water at the road that we have to fix. I'm gonna try and do that this week, and then get everything cleaned up for the 4th. So.
And the new employee's working out, sounds like.
Yes, yeah, it's. You don't realize how much you miss that other pair of hands until you get them back. I mean, me and David were just the two of us for 4 months there. So it's nice to have a third set of hands for sure.
Thank you, this is a great report and project.
What's the story with the main line coming from the water plant? It keeps breaking in the same two spots like 6 times in a row now.
They think bad pipe. That's Ridgeway has the same issue from South Town Line to 104. We've helped them on numerous occasions.
How many years ago did they put that pipe down?
I couldn't tell you.
25 maybe?
Before just moved on.
No,
I don't think it was that long, but close.
All right, the only other thing I have, just as a reminder, we still have to switch our website and our emails to .gov. There's a lengthy email from Shelley Salmons about it. I'm gonna try to digest that. I asked her, and I know what she's gonna say. When do we have to have this done by? Well, the law was changed in December of last year, and just like, as soon as the law's changed, technically you're on the hook. But I'm not rushing into it, as you can see, but we do have to make the transition. It's gonna be a little painful, but we will, after I digest the email she sent and get the update about if we really have a deadline, I'll send it all to you guys and the rest of the people who have to change their emails. It'll be everybody that works for the town that have to switch, and then the website as well. Okay, any,
I was gonna ask Shelley, when do you think the best time to switch it over would be? I mean, the least amount of time we'd have.
I was just concerned that we didn't do it during tax time.
Right,
Because our
okay.
tax bills list town.yates.org. But we're well past that now, so we could do it anytime.
yeah, she's already got the domain set up. I mean, yeah. Okay. Last call for anybody before we break.
No, we just went to the dinner and they talked about grants and student assistance. You know, we have a county grant writer.
Yes.
Yeah, and they kept on throwing that out there. But, and like I said before with the ambulance, I think we have to sit down and talk to somebody that knows the full scope of it. So we know what we're shooting for anyway.
Well, I'll do what I said with the village. You guys see if you can contact with Parker. I'll also reach out again to Mercy Flight. Hopefully get some updates.
Yeah, I tried to get something out of the guys down at the fire hall, but not,
Yeah.
won't give me anything.
Everyone, Sue? Thank you, everybody, for the work. Thank you for attending, folks, and have a good rest of your day.